How do you say flop in DC Comics? I don't know. Probably just flop, I'm guessing. It's not a whole language. It's just another comic publisher. Anyway, they had 100 million with an M dollar flop of a film called Batgirl. And this is more interesting because nobody saw it except test audiences, and yet it was so bad that they banished it. It'll never see the light of day. And now I'm curious and I want to see it, because if it was that bad, I mean, how would it be to be, first off, the lead actor, but anybody related to this film? Oh my goodness, that's gotta be bad. We're gonna get into that. Before we do, check out Clint Stoker's Dracula on Indiegogo. It is being printed as we speak. Could be here next week, maybe the week after. We will see. They're finishing things up, but this will be shipping soon. Fatal, we've made some really, really good progress lately. We're finishing up the line art, making sure that the ending is solid. It's good, but really appreciate everyone's support there. All right, Batgirl. So, like, as I let this video play, it kind of talks about how it's trying to compete with Marvel Comics, but I think this could actually be a canary in the coal mine, in that, just like with the comic book industry, DC saw the brunt of the difficulties first. They received most of it because they're just the slowest. You ever heard that? Like, you don't have to be the fastest when you're running from a bear. You just have to be faster than your friend, something like that. So it could be interesting to me. I actually I'm kind of crossing my fingers for a day when superhero films are not the norm and there's like maybe one a year that comes out or something like that. I would rather not be inundated with it. I'm ready for the next era of cinema. Please, please. And I love comics, but please. Getting into it here, it says, holy millions down the drain, Batman. DC Comics film Batgirl will be completely shelved by Warner Bros. At a top Hollywood source at the New York Post said. That means it won't hit theaters in the U.S. streaming service HBO Max. Fans will not see it. Now, my question is, how bad does it have to be for them to sink $100 million and be okay with that being a complete loss? Would the expenses of putting out the film the rest of the way, doing it, the marketing machine, everything else they've got to spend, is that too high a price? They know that they're going to lose money on this. Or perhaps is it that it ruins DC Comics franchise enough that they're looking at the possibility of other films suffering because of how bad this is? I don't know the answer to that question, but let's read on. The DC Comics film Batgirl was completely shelved by Warner Bros. That means it won't hit the theaters. People won't see it. They're reportedly $100 million movie. The source said the budget was actually more than $140 million, which was doing test screening for audiences in anticipation for a late 2022 debut. That's this year. Would rank among the most expensive cinematic cast-offs ever. And I gotta imagine that list has got to be pretty short. I don't know how many films got into full production, enough that they had a final cut, presumably, that a test audience could actually see, that it was so bad. I want to know who was in the audience. They have to sign something legally that they can't say anything. I gotta know. Now I'm curious. I want to see this movie more than anything else in the world. The article continues. Those tests were said to be so poorly received by moviegoers that the studio decided to cut its losses and run for the sake of the brand's future. It's a DC disaster. So yeah, not about necessarily Batgirl, but yes, that, but also, everything else possibly related to DC Comics. Quote, they think an unspeakable Batgirl is going to be irredeemable, the source said. The Post has reached out to Warner Bros. For comment. It's been a month-long walk of shame for the movie. Batgirl, directed by Adil Abri and Bali Fala, the Bad Boys for Life, received not a single mention at DC's Comic-Con panel in San Diego in July. As usual, a movie that raised industry eyebrows. the much publicized event, and after that is designed to boost exposure to forthcoming projects like this one. Yeah, so they were supposed to mention it in a panel. I thought that DC Comics was not going to be there, but apparently at least they were there for a panel. Mentioned nothing about the movie. What does any of this mean? It means they made a very bad movie. That's all it means. This is going to be the subject of conspiracy theories for years to come. And I also have got to wonder, does this mean that DC Cinematic Universe is going to be cutting the line just like the comic publisher did, which I think would be a fantastic idea. Rein it in a little bit. That would be okay. I actually wish Marvel would do the same. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you see the movie? Tell me if you saw the movie, and I'll see you in my next video.